So we have one last really important session today, and it's going to involve all of your involvement. We're going to have a panel discussion on the future work of the APS Type 1 Foundation. And I'm going to call up Todd Tallarico, Robin Finch, and Julia Richardson, who are going to lead us through this. All board members. So Todd, as you know, is the president of our foundation and a parent of the wonderful Gabby. And Robin is the secretary of our foundation, a board member, and the parent of Samantha. And Julia joined us in this past year on the board, and she is the first patient board member of the APS Type 1 Foundation. And we are so excited to have her join us, and we're looking forward to a future where we have many more patients as board members. So I'm going to leave it to you guys to lead this discussion.
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. Take it away.
Yeah. I'll stay there. You guys can jump in. Okay. It's okay. Yeah, we forgot. All right. We are between you and this evening. Not the best place to be, but probably not. Probably better that we aren't right after lunch. All right. So what we wanted to do tonight was just first give you a little background on what we would classify as where we've been. First off, who we are, why we are what we are, where we've been, what we're doing, and where we're going. And it's critical for any foundation. The heart and soul of the foundation is the ability of the foundation to continue to grow and thrive, supported by all of you, families, friends, loved ones, because again, the other concept is without financial support, the opportunities that we're able to bring forward cease to exist. But I wanted to just share a little bit on the background. So these were the foundation criteria that we submitted to the FDA. Not the FDA. Yeah, I got the FDA out. But this was when we submitted for our 501c3, we really focused in on three very broad criteria: education, research, and awareness. Now, these have the opportunity to go in a lot of different directions, but it also grounds the foundation on what we are not. So if there's situations with some foundations that are specifically designed to support financial support for patients for drugs that they need to sustain life, and you'll see some of those programs that are offered in some of those foundations. We do not have that as a criteria of our program. Our program is really to drive education, and there's ways in which we do that, such as foundational support of meetings like this, drive awareness not only within our own community, but beyond that, and ultimately, like we shared this morning, the opportunity to support research. This is just a quick, you're looking at this going, Susan B. Corman, we all know who Susan B. Corman is, right? Everybody knows about the pink ribbon, right? But very few people know about Nancy Brinker. Nancy Brinker was Susan B. Corman's sister. And I raise this because what a lot of people don't realize when they say, well, how do I make a difference? I'm an N of one. She was an N of one too. Her sister died of cancer, and she said, I want to take action to support this. And as you can see, what she has been able to accomplish, that is by far the largest fundraising cancer organization in the world. So it just goes to show you over 200 million raised. They have multiple programs. Not saying that the APS Foundation will ever get to this level, but it goes to show you that if you're passionate about something, there's a lot you can achieve. So just for clarity of who we are, and I think this is a great slide. Remember, we are first and foremost patients and caregivers. That is what we are founded on. That's what we support. But we also are working very hard to establish foundational alliances, because there's opportunities for us to build on the foundational alliances of other organizations, because there's an alopecia foundation, there's a hypoparathyroidism foundation. We need to be driving that level of connectivity so that we're sharing that information. We also work very closely with our medical advisory committee, and ultimately we want to grow a scientific advisory committee, so a MAC and SAC committee, and we have a strong foundation of scientists that work very collegially with one another, which is not seen in a lot of other disease states. We started to do some work in pharma and biotech. We've had we've had a patient trial that just went through not too long ago. Obviously the work that's being done at the NIH is the next critical step. When you think about what's being done at the NIH from a natural history study, we've been in front of, many of us on the board have been in front of much larger foundations, and we're humbled by what this community has accomplished. Some don't have a registry. We have a registry. Some would die to have a natural history study. We have a natural history study. So we've come a long way as an organization in a very short period of time, and it's exciting, but it's still, we're just under 10 years. There is so much growth and opportunity, and some of the things we've talked about today are huge opportunities for us to continue. The mental health discussion was just the start of areas of opportunities where we have as a community. And as you can see, that all drives donors, and the importance of, maybe if it's not just you, if it's your extended community, what you can do to continue to drive that. We're going to talk a little bit about that, so I'm going to turn that over to Robin.
I'll talk a little bit about what we've accomplished in a short 10 years.
Can't hear it.
B. I guess I'll turn it on.
Does that work? Oh, I think that's, okay.
Can you hear it?
Yeah.
Is it better?
So in 10 years, so next year, 2024 will be the 10th year since we became a tax exempt organization. We've done a tremendous amount as a community. We've raised over $600,000 in research grants through NORD, and as Todd mentioned this morning, we just awarded, or was announced this morning that we awarded our most recent grant to a Frenchman, and we're really excited about that. And he came in to the summit last October with the other researchers and clinicians, and we got to meet him and encouraged him and others to apply for the grant, and it was great. We have somebody new in our group, and a committed young person, and we're super excited about that. Dr. Anderson was the recipient of several grants many years ago, and he's great. Dr. Leonakis gets in the NIH team, and Dr. Weiner, you get half the slide. And I don't know that we've accomplished that, although I suppose, we're giving you all this like data and blood and all kinds of things that we don't want to mention. So I suppose we're a big part of all that great work you guys have done. So can you move to the next one, Todd? So this is a little bit of a timeline. It sort of meanders around the page. So 2014, that's when we got our 501c3, and we funded research. And in fact, the Seaforts and the Tallaricos have been funding research for several years before that, before we became a foundation and could accept tax-exempt donations. But we did release a grant that year. In 2015, thank you to Jennifer and her family and their friends raising a lot of money. Jennifer had this vision that we needed to all meet. We all needed to get together in a room like this and learn from each other and share experiences. So 2015 was our first symposium. 2016, we released another research grant. 2017, we had our symposium at Stony Brook. and we've been on this every other year schedule since then. 2020, we published our new website. I hope everybody in this room has been on the website. Maybe has too much information on it, or hard to find. Oh, did I go the wrong way? I went the wrong way on my own slide. I'm sorry. 2017. I should have gone into 2018 when we launched our registry. If you're not in the registry, please tell me and I'll help you get into the registry. We have over 100 patients in our own registry that this foundation, this group runs. It's data that we as a group own and can share or not share to the right people. So we have over 100 folks in there now. There are surveys that you can put just information on your computer. We are going to be working this year and next to kind of revamp that and make it a little bit more user-friendly. It's not the most user-friendly platform, I confess, but it's the best we've got. But I would encourage you to please go in and put your data in. And as Jennifer mentioned, we do have quality of life surveys there, but we should expand those to include more mental health information. Did I lose my on that? Okay. 2018, we collaborated with Nord and Osmosis, and they created that cute little video that's on our website. What is APS Type 1? And it kind of has a graphic and somebody's drawing. It's a great thing to share with friends and family, schools, teachers. Gives them just a real basic idea of what's going on. 2019, we were here in DC with the IDF and did our own little conference within a conference, and again funded more research. And back to 2020, this is when we published the new website. It's still the website we have up today. If you have suggestions for improvement, if there's information you can't find or you wish was there, just email us. We want to make it as user-friendly and as helpful as possible. We will be posting slides from this up here, and soon we'll have the videos posted there as well. And there's slides and videos from the past symposia up there as well. Those are great information to share with, to refresh your memory, share with doctors and whatnot. So that was the start, I guess, of COVID. So 2020, we hosted our symposium that year virtually over Zoom. Actually worked quite well, but I'm super glad to be back in person. And that year we received a grant from the, we applied for a big grant from the Chan Zuckerberg Initiative twice. The first time we didn't make the first cut. The second time we also didn't make the first cut, but they gave us, through their community foundation, a $50,000 operational grant. So we were able to use that money for operations. It helped us bring on the park group to help kind of support everything we're doing, including the symposium. So I figure if we keep applying to Chan Zuckerberg, eventually they're going to give us some money. They see our commitment, they're going to give us some more money.
Well, they'll get tired of seeing us.
Right. So last October, we hosted our first International Scientific Summit in Toronto, and we had about 20 different researchers, clinicians, scientists, both in the room and online, which was really great. And to Todd's point, we have a tremendous group of professionals that have dedicated their lives and careers to helping find treatments and a cure for this, and they're collaborating with each other, which is not always the case, or maybe not commonly the case. And so thank you, everybody here, for being so open with your information and sharing it with us and with each other. And here we are today. So we funded research again, as we announced this morning, and we're trying to plan for the future with you and find out what you want to see and how you can help and how we can do better, if we should be doing more of something or less of something, or if this is all for us and for the people that aren't here. So we want to, be responsive to what everybody's needs and wants are. So that's why we want to hear from you. So, and then I guess the last slide is, throughout all these years, and to make all this happen, we've been doing fundraising, big and small fundraisers, and it all works together to make things like this happen. And the more that each one of us can do little things or big things or somewhere in the middle, the bigger our impact can be and the bigger our footprint will be. So here's just a couple photos of past symposia where we've met together. I think the one on the bottom, is that from Stony Brook, I think? Yeah. And I can't tell you where all the rest of them are from.
Definitely.
Toronto, yeah.
That's 2015, right?
2015 was Toronto, yeah. And so we're hoping to get some other group photos at the end of this, so please don't run off. As you guys see, there's some goodies there too, so hopefully everybody, I know everybody's tired and hungry, but we have some fun things we want to do still. These are just some photos again from the summit in October, and you see some familiar faces there. We had a really nice time getting to know each other. So our hope is to continue that effort, to let the scientists talk in their own language. Because we don't believe it, but they really dumbed it down for us today, even though some people are way overwriting it. So when they can talk to each other and not have to feel compelled to, simplify it for us mere mortals, it's great work. Oh, and Dr. Natu is on there, the fourth on the right, he's wearing a black cardigan with a white shirt on the bottom left, the fourth from the left, next to Sherry. Yeah, he's the one that just got the most recent grant, Dr. Giroux. Yeah. So with that, I want to turn it over to Julia, because that's kind of where we've been and what we're doing, and it seems appropriate that our first patient board member, one of our newest board members, can help us kind of inform where we should be going. So, this is just a short list of things that come to our top of mind. And there you go.
Does that work?
Is it on?
Yeah.
Okay. So I joined the foundation this year. I've been sitting, observing, and the foundation is for us. It is for our community. And if you can see where we're going, it looks, first obviously find a cure, but if you look at every other bullet point here, find patients here around the world, support the lived experience of our patients and families, activate our patient and family community. And then all of these can be accomplished with fundraising, and also something that we're all very good at is advocating. So part of our future vision is how can we best support us? How can we best support you? And so we really want to hear from you. We want you to advocate to us as opposed to advocating to physicians. Help us determine what you want to see. Where should we be going? What do you need? How can we best serve your community? How do you think we can best fundraise? This is here for us. So speak up. There's a lot that we can do as far as fundraising. Personally, this is very intimidating and daunting, and you can give up very easily. But if you look, a lot of these fundraisers were accomplished by one, just like Nancy Brinker and the Susan G. Komen. And Jennifer often says, just reach out to one person. You can reach out to, you can make an impact. There's simple ways that we can all make an impact, and what that does is it raises awareness. And then that person will reach out to somebody else with a couple arms, and then those people will reach out to other people. And eventually, we all make a small difference. It's not just one person, but it's everybody. We all have a lot on our plates. Right, I get it. I'm with you. But we can still make an impact. And I know you guys are passionate about this disorder and quality of life and success and future for your kids and your families. So we don't have a lack of passion, that's definitely for sure. But we want to try to expand our horizons as far as fundraising opportunities and raising awareness. So we need your feedback on this. And these are just examples of past family fundraisers. Some pretty cool, it's a Driving for a Cause, that was our APS research tournament, that's from long ago. It's a great one. The Lovett family, the Slam Dunk for Sam, Prim's Path, the Seifert families. Individual fundraisers have made a huge difference. So we can make a difference. And these are just some small ways. So how can we help? How can you help? What can we do better? Where are our gaps? Beyond the board, we're looking for committee developments. There have been some talk about getting some younger kids involved, possibly in committees. This could be good. We could share our stories. How can we do that? How can we share our stories with others? And then, of course, everything requires funding. So how can we fundraise smarter? What are your ideas?
Those are our slides. That's we're working with. We're hoping to hear from you guys, what you guys, ideas you have or criticisms of what's going on or more we should be doing or how you, anything you want to share and add, we'd love to hear from everybody.
I guess, is there a master list of grants that like annually that we could apply for, like globally, that like we could just have a template that we use and just kind of spearhead and just kind of.
Yeah. I'm not sure there is. We've applied for grants in the past from Chan Zuckerberg, from Global Genes, from others. But I don't know if anybody knows of a database for where these grants are all listed. That'd be great. Or if somebody wants to take the time to kind of surf the web and find grant opportunities, and we can collaborate together on writing for those grants.
And see maybe previous grants that have been submitted so that
Right.
maybe we can take some of the burden off of you guys and just be able to just kind of streamline grant processes.
Yeah,
'Cause,
absolutely.
there has to be.
And I would add, finding grants is challenging.
Okay.
Grant writing is also extremely challenging, as probably a lot of our scientific colleagues know too well as well.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, just to do the grant writing for one of the grants, was hours of team,
Does
doing that.
anybody
So-
know any grant writers in this field?
But-
Because some friends of mine, they're involved in organizations similar to ours,
Well, how
have
can we?
grant writers.
But we definitely,
Hey, very good.
we definitely would love a grant writer, so.
I think Carissa had a question or comment.
Sorry, such a great,
There's two of us. Rare disease, rare name, there's two. If I was gonna put together a fundraiser, like say in Nashville, where I know a lot of people, would I contact the board first, that way I have the logo and everything else that
Sure.
comes along with it, or I can do it after, or is there any kind of procedural?
We're flexible. We wanna extend you all the support we can and provide logos and graphics and ideas of things that have worked or not worked in the past. Any or all of that is great.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only thing we'd love to support you and participate and help you along the way, so,
Posting the event on the website or getting it out in social media, building out the donation page to include the name of your event so people can identify it.
I really like the one where they had live music and bands, and I know people who know.
Oh, great.
So, and I'm pretty pushy, just like you guys said, just keep asking.
Right. So you're right, when you say band, I'm gonna put a plug for my husband Brent, who's standing here, is turning 50 in February. And we're gonna have a fundraiser in our suburb of Los Angeles, President's Weekend 2024. And we're raising proceeds, all the proceeds, the net proceeds are gonna go to the foundation. So if anybody wants to come, please do. It's gonna be a great time. Jade, you have to come because you live in LA County. It's gonna be fun. So we're turning, a 50th birthday, which I guess is a really fun thing and also sort of terrifying that we got old so fast. But we're doing something fun for our friends and family and communities into this, support for this group. So if you do something in Nashville similar to that, that's great. Maybe we can create like a concert series around the country or something. Yeah.
I think my question might be for Dr. Anderson. Sorry to put you on the show. But can you talk about how much money or what you could do with a little bit of money when you get a grant? And what kind of difference that can make?
Oh, you mean on the research side?
Yeah.
On the research side, there's different strategies. When it's smaller amounts of money, like let's say $50,000, like
This one was 50. We've done it a couple times in the past.
Right. So I think there's sort of two strategies. One is the pilot and feasibility studies where people would do something that's risky, right? That the NIH wouldn't support, or traditional grant funding agencies wouldn't support. And there could be all kinds of crazy ideas that you could vet with the medical advisory board and see if that's worth investing in. The other one is investing in people and getting them interested in this.
Do you think there's a pipeline of young APS researchers or clinicians? Dr. Weiner once told me many years ago, you may not remember this, Dr. Weiner, I asked you, this is probably 10 years ago, what should we be doing? And you told me something to the effect of creating a pipeline of young doctors and scientists that are interested in this disorder.
Yeah. Yeah, I think those are the two biggest bang for your buck are people and, I wouldn't call them off the wall ideas, but more risky ideas. I don't know, James, you want to add to this?
I think the latter part, meaning, and I think your Nord grants have been to that effect, right? Attract people that are not already established or within, but bring new people because that can bring even more people. I think that's the attraction of those grants. It's very important. I think you've seen what we all have done with larger amounts of either intramural or extramural funds from a scientific.
$500,000 to $2 million would be sort of a typical package.
Establish a program, hire people, keep it for more than 1 year or so.
Other things I've seen, I work very closely, of course, with the type 1 diabetes fundraising and foundations. The biggie, of course, is the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation, and then the other one is the Home Charitable Trust. And they have much deeper pockets. So the JDRF will sponsor people grants and project grants that are very, very targeted. In my opinion, maybe too targeted. And another thing the JDRF does is they have now started funding what they call centers of excellence. So there's some places, like 4 or 5 places in the country that are working on type 1 diabetes, and then money flows into that center with an expectation that it's going to be invested in keeping the cause going. So that's I think that's another strong use of the money.
Do you think a center of excellence is a good way to find our patients? Because it seems to, if NIH is seeing 180 patients, we have 40 families here, we have 100 patients in our registry, but Dr. Leonakis thinks we have, 3,000 patients in this country. So I wonder if the Center of Excellence is a good path to finding more patients, to drawing people out of the woodwork somehow. Because if we've seen 250 patients collectively, probably less, 200. We got a long way to go.
Yeah.
just a question. Have you looked at the French telethon for rare diseases? They actually, the last 20 years, they collect in the order of 100 million euros a year for rare diseases. I mean,
Which organization is this?
it's called telethon. Telethon.
Telephone,
Not really, but anyway.
No, that's good, we'll look into that.
Yeah.
We have them.
And maybe you should go together with some other rare diseases like hypoparathyroidism, Addison's disease, and go together and make not only money but also awareness of the disease.
Good idea.
There was a
Miss
question in the back.
Miss Arnold?
I didn't want
Hi, this is just a suggestion. I remember a couple years ago when I was planning our NIH visit with a lease that used to be at the NIH. One thing she was saying is there's not really funding for the egg freezing and sperm freezing. And I know you said that's not part of the 3 pillars of the mission, but that to me could be a suggestion of something that families would not be able to have covered by insurance. But it's something, because I have a daughter and maybe be a grandmother someday, and so that's something I thought could be a suggestion if you had a fund for families that want to think about reproductive issues that wouldn't traditionally be covered by health insurance.
Yeah, that's a good idea. And maybe you could just try to find ways to advocate for our group to get insurance to fund it. Because I think insurance is increasingly funding the preservation for cancer patients. And I'm not sure why our autoimmune disease has to be or should be treated any differently than cancer in that regard. So I don't, we certainly look into all those avenues.
Yeah, we've had conversations on this, a few different symposiums before too. I mean, it's a financial challenge for us, just given the size and scope of our organization, but definitely something that we're very interested in. You also see you got a pamphlet in your packages today, which is a organization that we got connected to through Global Gene, that actually does GoFundMe programs that are customized for you or for your daughter, and are tax deductible. So the biggest challenge you have with GoFundMe, at least in the United States, is it's not a tax deductible program, but this organization will work with you if it's medical. They're called Help, Hope, Live. We got a chance, actually, Heather got a chance to meet their group, and they've been around for like 40 years. But they create an actual campaign specifically for you, for a specific situation like this. So we were gonna talk about it tomorrow in our session, but just one of the ideas, and that's the networking opportunities that we get a chance to do that we can share with all of you. So, but we have infertility and reproductive opportunities high on our list.
That said, it took a while to put up. Okay. I think also just adding on to that too, like being from Canada, but I have the pod for PTH things. But since it's like geographically it's covered here for APS and PTH purposes, but in Canada it's not. So like having a fund for those like kind of anomalies in the insurance plans would be helpful as well. And I know like for a lot of people with APS who have alopecia, like wigs and things that are considered cosmetics aren't covered, because even though they are like necessary, especially for like mental health for a lot of patients. So having some sort of like advocacy plan and fund for things that are like that, which on the grand scheme of things aren't as expensive as other procedures and could be like smaller funds would be, I think, very beneficial.
Yeah, it's a really great idea. I'll be perfectly honest, I'm not sure that fits within our mission. But what I think what we can do is to help find opportunities to connect our group with other groups that do provide that funding and try to be, if we can identify the areas that people are seeing the most need for, and we certainly can do that. Dental, the Ectodermal Dystrophy Foundation, National Ectodermal Dystrophy Foundation, has been working for many years now, several years now at least, to get the Ensuring Smiles Act through Congress. They got it passed by the House last year, and then they ran out of time to get it through the Senate, and they're back at it again. And this is essentially to mandate that health insurance companies provide coverage for tooth restoration work. And so, that's not there. I get emails from them almost daily asking for us to help advocate for that, and to go to the Hill and to meet with congressmen and things like that. So I think there's a lot of legwork and just manpower, woman power, youth power we can do to make some of these things happen. So, yeah.
I wonder if you could give a quick definition of the registry, what it is maybe for some of the new families, and why it's so important.
Sure. I feel like I'm talking a lot, I'm sorry. But, so the registry, I met Jennifer about 3 days after Sam was diagnosed with APS type 1. At the time, I'll get to the answer. This is kind of a sweet story, I think. So at the time, when you found out you had this disorder, you would connect with Todd. Todd would send an email out to the group and saying, we found this new family, and here's their story. I would write a story, he would share it. And Jennifer emailed me within a day and said, I'm from Toronto, but I'm in Los Angeles this week, let's meet for coffee. And what are the chances? We couldn't be further apart. And so we meet for coffee, and she's telling me about that she's got this symposium coming up, and her two objectives for starting to kind of bringing us all together was we have to meet in person, and we have to have a registry. I said, well, why do we need a registry? The NIH has got it, they're doing this amazing work, why do we need this? And she convinced me that we need a registry. And I now get it. And our registry is in its infancy, and it has a tremendous amount of potential. We need, what we need is to hire somebody to help run the registry, because we don't have the bandwidth to do it. But what the registry is, as it sits now, is, we got funding about, wherever that was, 2018, from NORD, which is the National Organization for Rare Disorders. They had received a grant from the FDA to help build registries for rare diseases. So we applied for this grant, and we got it. So we've been working with NORD for the last 5 years, and they've built this platform, and we created our own questionnaires. So it's a secure platform. It's got an IRB approval, Institutional Review Board. So we have a protocol. We have formal consent. Your data is secure. We're not sharing any personal information with anybody. It's all de-identified data. So you can be assured and comfortable that if you share your information through your own computer to us, that it's secure. But essentially, we have surveys. The first survey is who you are, your demographics. What's your name? When were you born? Where are you from? Where's your family from? There's a survey about medications, and this is a tricky one. This is a hard one for a lot of us. We all take so many medications, right? And when I ask you to retake it a year later, I get a lot of growls and grouses, right? So at any rate, so we have information on her people on all the medications they've ever taken, and what doses and what types and for what reason, and when were you diagnosed, and what disorders have you accumulated over time. We've got quality of life surveys there that can be improved upon. We've got a misdiagnosis survey that we actually released during COVID, where we asked basically how long did it take for you to get diagnosed, and what did doctors tell you had first. And it's a pretty shocking list of things that, like psychosis, this crazy stuff, like this person is telling lies. This is just crazy stuff that we've all been through. So we have this information, and we actually have an agreement to share the data with a young endocrinologist at UCLA who trained under Maureen Sue, who trained under Dr. Anderson. And Dr. A is going to work with us to take this information and write a paper. And hopefully we can place that paper somewhere. And so we can start to validate this information, that we are a group that has patients and that we have data, and data is valuable. Even if it's just patient input data, it's valuable for people. It's gonna help us find our patients. It's going to show researchers that if they wanna research on APS type 1, that when Dr. Leonakis ever stops sharing his data, that they can come to us, because we have 100+ patients that we can help place in their study. And I'm not suggesting we're gonna share your information with any of these researchers, but what I'm suggesting is if we could go to you and say, this researcher from this great institution wants to do this work, here's some information about it, are you interested? And it gives us a commodity, it gives us something that we have that nobody else has that we can, I wanna say sell, but we're not really selling it. Although a lot of organizations do ultimately sell this data and make, and help fund their operations. So if you've never been in the registry before, it's probably take you 2 hours to do it, and you can stop and start. You can put some information in, you have 10 minutes, your kids start screaming, you just click save, and you can come back tomorrow or next week. So if anybody has questions about it or has trouble with it, like I said, it's not a perfect platform, we're working to improve it, but it's something that's ours, and that we as a group can use to kind of validate our disease and to help raise awareness around the world. So thank you for that question. So right now it's only in English. NORD is going to a new platform. We will probably switch over to their new platform at the beginning of 2024. At that time, we'll have the opportunity to translate the website into French and Spanish, and potentially any other, I'm hoping that we can get Italian in there. We don't have capability to translate to languages that don't use the regular alphabet. Well, I shouldn't say regular, the Roman alphabet. I mean, there was a word I was going to say. So our goal is to get it into French, Spanish, and Italian. So hopefully we can do that next year. That's going to require, though, that NORD will translate their platform. We need to take our surveys, and we need to hire professional translators, medical translators, that are going to translate it in both directions. So you hire one person to go from English to the other language, and you hire another translator to go back as a way to double check it. So if this is something that the community is interested in, it's something we need to get into our budget and to start dedicating some fundraising towards, so that we can reach a broader community. Yeah.
One of the advantages of our registry is that it is web-based, so anyone anywhere in the world can enter it, right? The NIH is a far superior natural history study, but you have to go there. Not everyone has the time or the ability to get there, even with NIH support to do that. So we really want to promote it as something you can do in your own home.
And it's a longitudinal natural history study. So the goal is to have everybody input their data, or update their data at least on an annual basis, so that we can really see the progression of the disease over time. Some future work we hope to get to there is to start being able to accept physician input data and to take medical records in to the platform, and then eventually at some point we're going to use Mark's refrigerators, and we're going to create a biorepository where we can share all of our nice bodily fluids and store them somewhere. But again, that if that's figuring out who owns what and all that is far in the future, but the idea that we have something that other people want, right? And if we have something that they want, that's going to allow more people to come into the field and to create this pipeline that Dr. Moyer talked to me about 10 years ago. So.
And I'll just note, this is no small feat for an organization of our size. And it's a tremendous amount of work that Robin truly has taken the shoulder on. It is hard.
And I'm very happy to let her do that.
Thank you.
Sounds like a smart lady.
Sherry, I mean, do you have a question?
No, I was just going to say, if you update your registry, you just mentioned it, you need to have a way for the patient to give a physician name and request the physician weigh in. You may not wanna have the physician.
May not want to have the physician weigh in on everything, but certainly for the drug lists and for the dates of the diagnoses, because we all know how easy it is unless you're keeping your own little diary calendar. It's really easy to forget a lot of information, and so I think you'll have a more accurate registry if you can come at it with a physician.
With respect, I don't think so. I don't think there's any one physician who takes care of our patients who has their full medication list and history.
Well, no, wait a second, hold it. In Quebec now, for the last 5 years, we have a centralized pharmacy listing, so I can
They're
get.
never accurate now.
They asked me. Dr. Deal.
They are in Quebec, I can tell you, I'm impressed. I'm very skeptical too, but I'm really
Here's
impressed.
my question for you. When we translate our website, our registry into French, can we count on you to encourage your French Canadian patients to
Absolutely,
come in our registry?
absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely.
Good. Thank you.
Look,
You've been neglecting this site.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yes.
No, I was just
Brian.
waving hi to them.
Brian?
We were just waving hi to you.
Oh, hi. Don't mean to neglect the right side.
It's all right.
We'll take, I know we have other things to do before 5, so.
Can I say something just really quickly? So you heard that Talrico Secrets were fundraising before the foundation started. The foundation actually came as a result of us trying to raise funds, because we did basket raffles and we go to Target and Walmart and say, would you donate a gift card? And they say, oh, you're a 501c3. We go, no. So it was a way for us to be able to solicit donations. And Talrico's, they did golf outings, and it was a way to say, if you donate to the golf outing, you can get a tax deduction. So that's in place now. So as you encourage people to give to the foundation, we're a tax exempt organization. Some people are interested in that. We have people who are just friends, acquaintances who give to the foundation every year, just because it's at the end of the year. They have certain times they give in order to have a tax deduction. So you don't even have to necessarily do a fundraiser. It's just a matter of reaching out to people and let them know that there's a need. All of us, the initial group of us on the foundation, all did fundraising. We were, I think, about 10,000 fundraisers. The Talrico's were 20. The Finches came on board and they were monster fundraisers. Jennifer, had the serving awareness where she just asked friends, will you host a dinner? And what you pay for dinner out, we donate to the APS Foundation. So it was kind of no muss, no fuss, and it was a monster fundraiser. All of us depended on our family and friends, because as you know, a lot of times you're not able to do it because your child or family member is sick. There's 1,000 Talricos apparently in that large Italian family. So they had a cohort that they could rely upon. The other thing is, as the different presentations today talked frequently, Dr. Anderson's talked about diabetes and how AIR information has helped diabetes. Down syndrome flashed quickly on one slide, but there's a link between AIR and Down syndrome. In our Toronto Physicians Symposium, we had a researcher from Cold Spring Harbor Laboratory who was looking to manipulate the AIR gene toward cancer. So a lot of times when you say, well, we're trying to raise money for this very, very rare
disorder, and people just say, well, it doesn't help a lot. It's actually the implications of APS research and research into the air gene can affect the world. Dr. Campy, when I first saw him in Toronto, I said, I don't know what we're going to do in this little tiny foundation. Maybe the Diabetes Foundation will help us. And he said, no, you have it wrong. You're going to help them. So the thing is, we have a tremendous message that will make a difference in our families' lives, patients' lives, but also on a worldwide, global basis. We have researchers from Italy, from Sweden, from France now. We're having an impact through Europe. There's a rising Southeast Asia population. The first study came out of a group of cohort of 10, and Dr. Fiabracci, in one of her slides, mentioned all the patient cohorts around the world. So we're going to affect not only right here and today, but throughout the country, throughout the world. So we have a message that I think is pretty convincing to others who may not be interested in supporting just this small little rare disorder, but also it can affect one day their family members' diabetes or lupus or cancer. So be out there, and a lot of times just letting know that there's a need can have a tremendous impact, and you'll be surprised who's willing to help you and the people that you come in contact with. So little fundraisers, big ones, they don't have to be tremendous. They can just be, just getting the word out sometimes is sufficient.
Well, if you've got 5 hours of time, or I'm off work for a week, and you give me a project to do, or can I help with someone? We need money, but we need hours. We need hours because there's just not enough time in a day or a week to try to accomplish all we want to. So there's, if you're in social media is your thing, or you're an accountant, or you're a bookkeeper, any of those skills, or you're an artist, or what.
Bookkeeper.
Yeah.
Sure, you like that plug? Like to work around numbers and treasury type work. We love you.
Board members in the foundation have worked tirelessly for years to get us where we are now. And what I see as a vision is kind of a tag team situation where, there are years when I'm not healthy and I can't do anything else but just survive. But then there are years when I can use my strengths and skill sets to support, and so then I'm tagged in. When I'm struggling, I can tag somebody else in. So we all need to be using our strengths to help the foundation so that there's not a burnout on the board.
Which, I wonder if there's a way on the website to put a link, almost like job applications, where I have a project that would take an hour and a half or 2 hours for a social media person, so you could go on and click one and then know that, because we have no idea that there's projects out there. But if this is like a 2-week project for a bookkeeper, then they can click on it and get information and work there.
I just, Tina and the park group have been helping us tremendously in this area, so that's great that we've had that resource, but, we can definitely look at opportunities like that to enhance the website, to channel that. It's a great idea.
Just so people know that there are opportunities to help.
Yeah.
Right.
That's a great one. We'll take one more, because I want to do one more thing to do here.
Just because someone mentioned doing like a birthday celebration, I know sometimes on Facebook, like they're like, on my birthday, I'd like to donate towards. Yeah.
So-
We raised
Yeah.
$6,000 last year. On Network for Good, from birthday parties on Facebook. Which is incredible. One thing we've been trying to get for years is to get a donate button on the Facebook page to make it easier to fundraise through Facebook. And it's shocking how impossible it is to get in touch with anybody on Facebook, maybe Mark knows, I don't know. But we think we finally can check off a crazy last box to get a donate button on Facebook. But because I think that would be great. So I mean, if you're having a birthday party and it's it's donations and little gifts, and then you buy some gifts on the side or whatever, that stuff all adds up. We raise from Amazon Smile, which unfortunately they're not doing anymore, we were raising, $600-700 a year. That adds up. So, the little things brought together make a big difference.
I just want to say one thing as far as grant writing. You wouldn't be alone if you decided that you did want to do write a grant, because we've written grants before and we have that information that we have that we've applied for. So if you wanted to apply for a grant, we do have some information here, so you wouldn't be starting from scratch.
Great. Remember, info@apstype1.org. Great place if you want to think about this more and you have more questions.
Sorry, do you guys meet every month? Like, could we jump, do you
We
guys
meet
have
monthly.
A board meeting.
We have a board
Are we
meeting
allowed
once a
to
month.
join the call to listen, or is that just you guys? No?
That's just us, but if you wanna meet with any of us at any time,
We schedule separate meetings
Yeah.
all the time.
We'd love to talk to you.
We definitely do that.
And one thing we're trying to do is to figure out what committees we should create. To create, not 2, 3, 4 committees, so that we can have committee meetings once a month and then a board meeting once a month, and so that we can kind of create now a more direct and regular contact with everybody. So if you have suggestions on what you think those committees would be, or if there's a committee, if there was this committee, I would do this, tell us. We wanna be as responsive to what the committee thinks will work as possible.
Thank you.
thank you so much for leading us in that conversation. And thanks to all of our speakers today. We really appreciate your time and the energy put into being here with us and these excellent presentations.